electrocardiograms have shown that the human heart generates approximately 2.5 watts per beat. Now, what that means, also Stanford University scientists have started to understand that we're creating an EMF field that surrounds our bodies by approximately 10 to 12 feet. That every mammalian organism generates an electromagnetic field. This is a big part of how our intuition is able to notice things that we're not seeing with our visual field. Why it is that we're able to tap into what we call vibes and different senses that happen in a room. So another interesting piece of this empirically is that they started sending astronauts into outer space in the space shuttle and other types of little metal boxes that they jettisoned people off of the Earth in and sent them into outer space. And people were not doing particularly well in these first missions. They were nauseous and feeling really sick, and they couldn't really figure out what was going on. And two things evolved out of this. One, NASA did a bunch of studies on what types of plants can deal with indoor air pollutants. Specifically because they realized they were creating toxic boxes that were super tightly sealed, and the astronauts were getting really sick because of things like formaldehyde fumes and all this off-gassing and these highly synthetic, highly toxic boxes. So they put out a book, B.C. Wolverton put out a book called 50 Plants for Indoor Air Cleaning, and it's all based on NASA studies. So NASA did a ton of research into sort of the Boston fern, the Dracaena, all these different plants that have been specifically researched to find that they are really good at sequestering formaldehyde. So they learned some of that stuff. The other thing they learned that was interesting is that the electromagnetic field of the Earth and the pulse rate of that electromagnetic field is part of how human beings create a sense of orientation. And part of what enables our bodies to feel like we're on balance with the inner ear is that the inner ear is tuned into the Hertz wavelength of the electromagnetic field of the Earth. So the inner ear tunes itself to the EMF sub-low frequency emanation of the Earth. And when they took people and they put them in a box and sent them into outer space, and they didn't have that tone, they didn't have that sub-low frequency EMF tone, people became nauseous and disoriented and couldn't really function. And so they just put a little emitter on the device that emits the sub-low frequency Hertz tone of the EMF field of the Earth, and no longer were astronauts nauseous when they put them in outer space.